Better Ballots is a nonpartisan group of Nebraska voters working to bring open primaries and reform to the Cornhusker state.
We, in essence, use them for our legislative elections. I think an example of how it hurts us would have been in the governor's race when Lindstrom and Pillen and Herbster were running, and people actually had to change their registration if they wanted to vote amongst those three people. And in Nebraska, the odds of the Republican winning are probably in excess of 95%. But in reality, maybe 25 to 30% of the party may vote. So you only have that percentage of the Republican Party. And then you have a three-way split in the primary. You may have 8 to 10% of the people that are registered to vote in the state have now chosen our Republican candidate. And now that person is likely to become elected. And in order to win that primary, you got to lean as far right as you can. And then after you've leaned far right, now you have to go more to the center. So everything gets distorted mainly by the primary process and the fact we don't have open primaries. That's the best way to get us to electing people that really want to represent all of us, instead of somebody who's really worried about that 8 to 20% on the right or the left that can get them to the general election. To me, it's not about the right or the left. It's about trying to create systems that give us a vehicle that gets us the best people who really wake up every morning themselves and want to do the most good for the most people that they represent. They don't think about the money in the party. It's like, I've got to satisfy 50% plus one of my constituents if I want to keep doing this job.
And there have been some efforts in the legislature. I think most recently, maybe in 2023, it didn't get far, as I recall.
It did not get out of committee. We haven't been able to get either an open primaries or ranked choice voting to the floor since I've been involved with this, which goes back to 2016 or so.
What are the objections?
Well, it's the parties. They really like the system. And I hate to say it to some degree, but it might be the media. They like it because these really contested primaries generate a lot of income. But that isn't the biggest thing. The biggest thing is just people in control who are working with the system well, and they want the system to remain as it is because they know how to work it so they can stay in control. They don't say that. That's not part of their testimony, of course. Their testimony is, hey, Nebraskans are independent. We're smart. We don't need to break this down. We do identify as Republicans or Democrats, but it's a dance in a way. We're a country that's supposed to be built on competitiveness, and we like to see big business succeed if they do a good product, etc. But then in the political field, it seems like we want to do things to put people into categories and separate them so they can continue to have their little monopolies within it, instead of putting us into an open competition with everybody to do what I said earlier, which is try to get people who are interested in satisfying the most people that they represent.